You are not going to ruin Caroline's night because you need attention. Colonel Douglas Mercer's voice cut across my mother's kitchen before I had taken my hand off the metal citation. The paper felt warm from the printer. Fresh toner left a bitter smell beneath the sweeter scent of vanilla frosting, and the refrigerator motor hummed behind me while a knife scraped across a ceramic plate. Somewhere in the dining room, ice knocked against crystal. I read the line again. Captain Caroline Mercer maintained command under enemy fire, redirected the surviving convoy, coordinated aerial support, and established the medical evacuation corridor that brought every wounded soldier home. Those were my actions. Not similar actions. Not a shared plan. My words. My sequence. My command. Where did you get this? Douglas asked. He still wore his uniform, the silver eagle on his chest catching the kitchen light. At 59, my stepfather had learned how to stand without appearing threatening, while still making everyone else feel they should move. It was on the table, I said. My mother stepped between us and turned the citation face down. It was supposed to be a surprise, Evelyn said. For whom? Simone, please. My name sounded small in her mouth. I lifted the paper again. Caroline did not order the convoy off Route Falcon, I said. I did. Douglas folded his arms. This is a family dinner. This is a military document. A draft, he said. It has her name at the top, because Caroline held command authority when the mission began. And when it ended? His jaw shifted. At 43, after more than 20 years in the United States Army, I knew the difference between a pause caused by memory and one caused by calculation. Douglas was choosing language. You supported command continuity, he said. I assumed command. You stepped into a communications gap. I redirected 3 vehicles, called aviation support, established the casualty collection point, and sent the recovery team back for Caroline's truck. Lower your voice, my mother said. I had not raised it. The kitchen door opened behind us. Caroline entered carrying a bottle of champagne and stopped when she saw the citation in my hand. Her smile vanished too slowly. What is going on? Caroline asked. I watched her face. Did you read this? I asked. No, Douglas answered before she could. Caroline has been busy preparing for the ceremony. What ceremony? I asked. My mother reached for the champagne. The unit is recognizing the mission next week, Evelyn said. We wanted to celebrate as a family first. A cake sat on the dining room table beneath white candles. Congratulations, Caroline. The icing was gold. My own photograph had been moved from the mantel to a side table near the hallway. Caroline's Academy portrait stood in its place beside a framed picture of Douglas pinning her first-rank insignia. Who submitted the award packet? I asked. Douglas exhaled through his nose. You are turning this into something ugly. It became ugly when my commands appeared under someone else's name. Caroline set the champagne bottle down. Simone, nobody is taking anything from you. I held the citation toward her. Read the 3rd paragraph. Her gaze moved over the page. I already said I have not seen it. Then read it now. Caroline did not take the paper. Douglas stepped closer. The mission succeeded because everyone performed their role, he said. That is not what this document says. It is a summary. It says she maintained command after the first vehicle was hit. She did. No, she did not. The refrigerator clicked off. Silence pressed into the room. For 1 second, I was back inside the tactical vehicle, headset digging into my ear, diesel smoke burning my throat, while broken radio traffic snapped through the speakers. Falcon route remains open, Caroline had said. Marcus Bell answered. Negative. Possible secondary device ahead. Continue movement, Caroline ordered. Then the explosion hit. Metal screamed. Someone shouted for a medic. A channel went dead, came back, then dissolved beneath static. Mercer Actual, respond. I had called. Nothing. Mercer Actual, this is Reed, respond. Still nothing. A voice from the operations center broke through. Command link is down. I had pressed the transmit switch so hard the edge cut into my thumb. Reed has command, I said. All elements acknowledge. One by one the call signs answered. The memory ended with Caroline's voice in the kitchen. You always do this, she said. Do what? Make everything about proving you are the smartest person in the room. I looked at her. Where was the casualty collection point? Caroline blinked. What? You coordinated the evacuation. Where did you establish the casualty collection point? Near the eastern ridge. No. Her eyes moved toward Douglas. He reached for the citation. That is enough. I pulled it back. Which aircraft responded first? I asked Caroline. Simone, stop. What was the medical call sign? Stop interrogating me. You signed a document saying you commanded every second of that mission. I signed what Dad's office prepared. There it was. Small, fast, gone before anyone could catch it. My mother set the champagne glasses down too hard. One tipped and rolled across the tablecloth. Douglas looked at Caroline. You need to be more precise, he said. Caroline stared at the floor. I placed the citation flat on the counter. Did you read it before tonight? No, Caroline said. The third paragraph ends with the phrase controlled withdrawal through smoke. Her mouth tightened. I tapped the page. What comes next? Caroline said nothing. I waited. Then she whispered, while preserving freedom of movement. The exact final words. My mother closed her eyes. Douglas picked up the citation and slid it into a blue folder. This conversation is over, he said. No, this dinner is over. Evelyn stepped toward me. Please do not leave like this. You invited me to celebrate my own work under Caroline's name. That is not fair, my mother said. Which part? Douglas raised you. He supported your career. He never treated you differently. I looked toward the mantel. 7 family photographs. Caroline centered in 5. I appeared in 2. Standing near an edge, Douglas followed my gaze. Do not reduce 30 years of family to a piece of paper, he said. You reduced a combat mission to 1. Caroline's voice sharpened. It is a medal, Simone. You already have a career. So do you. You know how hard I have worked. I know exactly what happened out there. Her face changed. Not much. Enough. I picked up my coat from the back of the chair. Douglas moved between me and the doorway. If you challenge this report publicly, you will force command to question your judgment. Is that a warning? It is advice. From my stepfather or from the colonel who approved the report? His eyes stayed on mine. Both. I walked around him. My mother followed me into the hallway. One medal is not worth destroying all of us, Evelyn said. The house smelled like roast chicken, polished wood, and the vanilla cake no one had cut. I touched the doorknob, then asked Douglas why he risked the family for it. Outside, I sat in my car without starting the engine. My hand still smelled faintly of toner. The citation had been returned to Douglas, but I remembered every line. Years of writing operational reports had trained me to hold exact phrases until I could record them. I opened the secure personnel portal on my government device. My original statement was still there. Submitted less than 4 hours after the convoy reached safety. The timestamp had not changed. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command after loss of contact with Mercer Actual. Below it, I had listed every order, every call sign, every casualty transfer. My name remained in the attachment, but the executive summary was no longer visible to me. Access restricted. I checked the permissions log. My access had been changed 2 days after Douglas approved the final report. The phone rang. Caroline. I answered. You upset Mom, she said. You signed the citation. I signed a packet. You knew what it said. Dad said the language had been standardized. Who ordered the route change? Simone, I am not doing this. Who called Ortiz for aerial cover? You helped with that. Who took command? A long silence followed. Then Caroline spoke more softly. Why can you not let me have one thing? Because you know it is mine, I thought. But I did not say it. Instead, I asked, did you tell Douglas I would stay quiet? She hung up. A message appeared before I could put down the phone. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Bell. It contained a photograph of an earlier report draft. The image was grainy, but the sentence was clear. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command and directed all recovery operations. My name had been there. A second message followed. I did not remove it. Ask who approved version 4. Marcus Bell chose a conference room with no windows. A clock clicked too loudly, burned coffee stung my nose, and a fluorescent panel buzzed overhead. Marcus gripped the back of a chair and kept glancing at the door. You should not have sent that image to my personal phone, I said. I know, Marcus replied. Then why did you? Because your name was in the first draft and I watched it disappear. I sat across from him. Marcus did not. He had been the operations officer in the task force command post, responsible for tracking vehicles, casualties, aircraft, and every change in authority. Careful men did not send protected screenshots unless fear outweighed caution. Who changed it? I asked. The version history lists Captain Aaron Pike. Did Pike have authority to rewrite command attribution? He had authority to edit the summary. That is not what I asked. Marcus looked at the clock. Colonel Mercer chaired the final review, he said. Douglas approved version 4? Yes. Was my name still there when the meeting started? Marcus lowered himself into the chair. Yes. The quiet answer landed hard. He opened a notebook, then closed it. I cannot give you the file, Marcus said. Not outside a formal request. I am not asking you to. You are asking questions that will lead there. I am asking whether the official report is false. Marcus pressed his thumb against the notebook edge. The official report does not match what I saw. Then say what you saw. His gaze met mine. You took command. The clock clicked once. Twice. Will you put that in writing, I asked. Not yet. Marcus looked away first. Douglas signs my evaluation, he said. He controls my next assignment. So he controls your memory? His jaw tightened. That is not fair. No, I said. It is not. I stood. At the door, Marcus spoke again. Version 4 was saved under Pike's account after a closed review with Mercer. Who else attended? Pike! Mercer! 2 staff officers. I was brought in afterward. Why? To validate casualty numbers. And the command narrative? Changed. The Military Justice Office smelled of floor wax, copier paper, and old air conditioning. Major Rebecca Shaw met me in a narrow room with a legal pad and a locked cabinet. Tell me only what you can support, Rebecca said. I placed my original statement, the copied language from Caroline's citation, and Marcus's screenshot on the table. She read without interrupting. When she reached the sentence with my name in the earlier draft, her pen stopped. How did you receive this? Marcus Bell sent it. Did you request it? No. Did you access any restricted system to obtain it? No. Good, Rebecca said. Do not ask him for more. I need the version history. You need the proper authority to preserve it. Can you do that? I can advise you how to request review. I cannot promise the outcome. She leaned back. If you file a formal complaint, your command may examine your conduct, judgment, evaluations, and family relationship with Colonel Mercer. They can examine it. And your promotion file may slow while the matter is pending. I folded my hands. Is that a legal warning or career advice? Both. Then write down that I understand. Rebecca studied me, then pushed a form across the desk. This requests preservation of the report history, related award documents, emails, and supporting mission records, she said. Do not post anything. Do not confront witnesses. Do not download files you are not authorized to access. What about the combat log? Not yet. Why? Because raw mission traffic may include protected information. If a review is opened, the investigating authority can request it. Douglas had counted on the distance between truth and access. He only needed to control which record people saw first. The meeting notice arrived before I returned. Professional judgment review. Douglas sat at the head of the table when I entered. No family photographs, no cake, no mother asking me to keep the peace. Just a colonel and a major. Close the door, Douglas said. I did. A personnel officer sat near the wall. Douglas folded his hands. You have raised concerns about the task force report, he said. I requested preservation of the record. You bypassed normal leadership channels. You approved the document I am challenging. That does not remove my role as commander. It creates a conflict. The personnel officer looked down. Douglas's voice stayed calm. You are allowing a family disagreement to affect professional judgment. The report says Caroline issued orders I gave. The report reflects command responsibility. She was not in command during the recovery. You supported continuity. I assumed command. That distinction is being exaggerated. By whom? His eyes hardened. You are being considered for a higher-level position, Simone. He used my first name before the personnel officer. Not Major Reed. Simone. The dinner table had followed me into a room where family had no place. Officers at that level understand when to put the institution above personal recognition, Douglas said. Does the institution require false reporting? The personnel officer shifted in his chair. Douglas leaned back. Be careful. Is that an order? It is advice from someone who has protected your career for decades. I looked at the folder in front of him. Did you approve version 4? This meeting is about your judgment. Then my judgment says the report is false. The room went still. Douglas ended the meeting without answering. My mother arrived at my apartment that evening carrying a covered casserole. Steam fogged the foil, and butter mixed with sharp onions when she set it on my counter. I made your favorite, Evelyn said. You came to discuss Caroline. I came because you are my daughter. Which one? Her face tightened. That is cruel. So is inviting me to celebrate work taken from me. Evelyn folded her coat over a chair as if staying longer would make the conversation gentler. Douglas raised you, she said. He paid for school. He sat through every ceremony. I served, he attended. He opened doors for you. And now he wants me to close my mouth. My mother pressed both palms to the counter. Caroline has lived in your shadow her entire life. I did not write the citation. She needs one thing that belongs to her. This does not. Evelyn looked toward the casserole. One medal is not worth destroying all of us. I lifted the foil, then covered it again. Did you read the citation? No. Did Douglas tell you what happened during the mission? He said Caroline was in command. Do you believe him? My mother did not answer. Her silence told me enough. The next morning, Captain Aaron Pike met me in a records office with Rebecca present. Pike sat stiffly, his uniform immaculate, his fingers aligned with the edge of the table. You saved version 4, Rebecca said. I standardized the executive summary, Pike replied. Who directed you? I asked. No one directed me to falsify anything. That was not my question. Pike glanced at Rebecca. Colonel Mercer wanted a cleaner narrative. What did that mean? One line of command, one public face. Whose face? Pike looked down. Captain Mercer's. He called the choice editorial. The raw traffic was confusing, he said, and the final report easier to read. Then Rebecca placed the preserved version history in front of us. Version 1 named me. Version 2 named me. Version 3 named me. Version 4 changed. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command to Captain Caroline Mercer, maintained command continuity. The edit had been saved from Pike's account 14 minutes after a closed meeting with Douglas. A related email appeared beneath it. We need a clean command narrative. Reed should remain support. Do not attach raw radio traffic to the award packet. Douglas had signed the message. Pike's breathing changed. I did not write that, he said. No, Rebecca replied. You followed it. Pike rubbed one hand across his mouth. There is something else. He asked for paper, then wrote a short statement in block letters. Douglas had ordered the revision before my first debrief was complete, before my medical clearance, before anyone had collected my full account. Rebecca read the page twice. At the bottom, Pike added one sentence. The colonel said the public needed one face. He had already chosen hers. Caroline chose the old den for our conversation. Dad's den, she still called it. Even though Douglas had never adopted me, and the room had always belonged more to his medals than to any of us. Brass plaques covered one wall. Framed photographs crowded another. The air smelled of leather polish, cold fireplace ash, and the faint floral perfume my mother sprayed before company came. Caroline stood beside the desk with both hands wrapped around a coffee mug. You asked to speak privately, she said. I did. So speak. I placed a copy of the medal citation on the desk between us. Her eyes dropped to it, then lifted again. I already told you, Caroline said. I did not write that. You signed it. Dad's staff prepared the packet. You signed it. Her fingers tightened around the mug. Are we going to keep repeating the same sentence? Until you answer it. Caroline set the mug down too hard. Coffee touched the rim and ran onto the polished wood. I signed what I was told was accurate, she said. Then tell me where you established the casualty collection point. Her shoulders stiffened. We discussed this. No, you avoided it. I was managing the convoy. You were not responding on the command channel. My communications were damaged. Your command vehicle still transmitted location data. Caroline folded her arms. So now you are tracking my vehicle? The task force tracked every vehicle. Her gaze shifted toward the family photographs. One showed the two of us outside her commissioning ceremony. I had spent half that morning pinning her hair because our mother's hips shook too badly. Simone, I did not ask Dad to change the report, she said. But you read it. I read a summary. You read my commands under your name. They were task force decisions. Then why does the citation say you issued them? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I leaned one hand against the desk. When did you order the route change? After the second blast, Caroline said. No. Her face tightened. You asked me a question. I answered it. You gave the wrong answer. According to you. According to the timeline. I tapped the citation. The route changed before the second blast. That is why the last two vehicles were not hit. Caroline stared at me. For a second, the room disappeared behind the sound that returned to my head. Static. A man yelling that the lead vehicle had rolled. Metal grinding across rock. My thumb pressed against the radio switch. Hold position, I had ordered. Do not enter Falcon. Repeat, do not enter Falcon. Then the second explosion hit farther up the road. Back in the den, Caroline's voice sharpened. You always need to be right. This is not about being right. It is always about being right with you. I looked at the citation again. No, this is about 32 people coming home because someone stopped that convoy. Caroline crossed the room and stood near the fireplace. I was under pressure. So was everyone. You were not in my position. I took your position when you left it. She turned. I did not leave. You stopped answering. My equipment failed. You left the command point. Her face changed, only for a moment. Then the old look returned, the one she used when she wanted our mother to think I had pushed too hard. You have no idea what happened inside that vehicle, Caroline said. Then tell me. I was trying to reach the forward element. From the rear access road? Her breath caught. The vehicle tracking data had not yet been opened in the investigation. I knew only what Marcus had told me in broad terms, and I had not planned to mention it. Caroline heard enough. You have been talking to people, she said. I have been reading my own report. You are trying to destroy me. I came here to give you a chance to tell the truth before someone else tells it for you. She laughed once. Dry. Bitter. You always did like playing the older sister. I was the older sister. You were the judge. That one reached farther back. Caroline at 16, crying in my car after leaving a summer leadership course early. Douglas had called her weak. I told him she had a fever. Years later, when she froze during a field exercise and abandoned an evaluation, I told the instructor she had received unclear instructions. I had protected her because I thought that was what sisters did. She remembered the rescue, not the cost. Do you remember Camp Ridgeline? I asked. Caroline's expression went flat. That has nothing to do with this. I lied for you. You helped me. I covered what happened. You said family protects family. I was 25. And now you are punishing me because you regret it? No, I am refusing to do it again. The door opened behind me. Evelyn stood there holding a folded dish towel. I heard voices, my mother said. This is private, Caroline replied. Evelyn looked at the citation. Can we not do this here? Where would you prefer? I asked. The ceremony? My mother flinched. Caroline picked up the citation. I am not taking your medal, she said. It was never yours. Dad said the award recognized command responsibility. Then why did he remove the person who assumed command? He did not remove you. My name was in version 3. The paper stopped moving in Caroline's hand. How do you know that? She asked. There it was again. Not surprised that my name had been there. Fear that I knew. You already knew, I said. No. You knew the report had been changed. Simone, stop putting words in my mouth. You finished the citation sentence before reading it. You knew version 3 existed. What else did Douglas tell you? Evelyn stepped closer. Caroline, answer her. Caroline stared at our mother. He said the original report was messy, she replied. He said command needed one clear account. One clear account, I repeated. Everybody was talking over each other. The radios were damaged. Dad said I remained responsible even when you took over communications. I did not take over communications. My voice stayed level, but my jaw ached. I took command. Caroline looked away. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Rebecca. I let it ring. Evelyn twisted the dish towel in her hands. Caroline, did you know Simone's name had been removed? I knew Dad revised the language. That was not Mom's question, I said. Caroline turned toward the window. Yes. The answer came quietly. My mother sat down. The leather chair creaked beneath her. How long? Evelyn asked. Before the award packet went forward. Why did you sign it? I asked. Caroline faced me again. Because Dad said the board wanted command clarity. And you believed the clearest version was the one with my name gone? I believed he knew what he was doing. You knew what I did. I knew you helped. A laugh almost escaped me. Not because anything was funny, because the word was so small. Helped. I had pulled the mission out of a ditch while she sat inside the vehicle I sent people back to recover. Rebecca called again. This time I answered. Major Reed, Rebecca said. I have received the signed award certification. I am with Caroline. Silence. Is counsel present? Rebecca asked. No. Then do not discuss protected evidence. What does the certification say? Rebecca's voice became careful. Captain Mercer affirmed that she maintained command authority, ordered the route change, coordinated aviation support, and directed medical evacuation. Caroline watched my face. Did she sign after the citation was completed? I asked. Yes, Rebecca said. The timestamp is 3 days later. Thank you. I ended the call. Caroline's eyes moved to the phone. What was that? Your signature. I already told you I signed the packet. You signed a separate certification 3 days later. Her face lost some color. Evelyn whispered, Caroline. Dad said it was administrative, Caroline replied. Did you read it? I asked. I skimmed it. It named every order. I trusted him. You recognize those orders. I was still the assigned commander. You were not on the channel. My equipment failed. You left the command point. I panicked. The words filled the room. Caroline pressed one hand over her mouth. My mother made a small sound. No one moved. I had known. Still, hearing her say, it changed the shape of everything. Caroline lowered her hand. It was only for a few minutes, she said. I could not hear. People were screaming. The windshield was cracked, and there was blood on the radio panel. I thought the next round would hit us. So you left. I moved to the rear vehicle, without transferring command. I was trying to survive. So was everyone you left behind. Tears gathered in her eyes. You came in, she said. You always come in. That was the part she had counted on. Not then. Now. At the mission. At the family table. Whenever her choices reached a consequence, I was supposed to step between them. I came in because soldiers were trapped, I said. Not so you could claim I was never there. Caroline sank into the chair opposite our mother. Evelyn looked between us. Douglas told me all reports are edited, she said. Did he tell you Caroline panicked? I asked. No. Did he tell you I took command? My mother looked down. He said you supported her. Did you believe him? Evelyn folded the towel again, though the fabric was already square. I wanted to. Caroline wiped beneath one eye. If this goes forward, my career is over. I looked at her. You signed the statement, because Dad said you would not challenge it. The room seemed to narrow. What exactly did he say? I asked. Caroline hesitated. That you would not throw away your promotion over a report. My mother closed her eyes. I stood. Tell Douglas, I am not throwing anything away. Caroline looked up. Simone, wait. No. You said you came to give me a chance. I did. What do you want me to do? Correct your statement. I cannot do that before the ceremony. Why? Her eyes moved toward the citation, then toward my mother. Because it is in 5 days. My phone vibrated again. This time the message came from Rebecca. Attached was a preserved text exchange. Caroline to Douglas. What happens if Simone challenges it? Douglas to Caroline. She will not throw away her promotion. Caroline to Douglas. Then moved the ceremony up. I turned the screen toward her. Caroline stopped crying. That told me more than the message. You did not just accept the lie, I said. You hurried it. She stared at the phone. Behind her, my mother whispered, Oh, Caroline. Another email arrived. The official invitation. Gold border. Task Force crest. Caroline's photograph centered beneath the headline. Commander who brought them home. 5 days. That was how long my family believed they needed to turn a lie into history. The evaluation says you lack judgment under pressure. Major Rebecca Shaw placed the document on the table between us, and the paper made a dry, scratching sound against the wood. The office smelled of stale coffee, copier heat, and the lemon cleaner used on the tile floors. My fingertips rested on the edge of the page, where the paper felt sharp enough to cut. Who wrote it? I asked. Rebecca tapped the signature block. Colonel Douglas Mercer. Major Reed has demonstrated difficulty separating personal concerns from operational decision-making. Her recent conduct raises questions regarding her ability to function within established command relationships. He signed this after I filed the preservation request, I said. 2 days after, Rebecca replied. Can it be used against my promotion? Yes. The answer came without decoration. It can also be challenged, but timing matters. We need to show the evaluation was tied to protected activity, not ordinary performance concerns. There were no performance concerns before I asked who removed my name. I know. Knowing is not the same as proving. No, Rebecca said. It is not. I read the document again. Douglas had always preferred language that left no fingerprints. Now he had turned retaliation into concern for military standards. Rebecca folded her hands. He requested a meeting this afternoon. With counsel present? I will attend. Good. You need to let him speak. I know how meetings work. I am serious, Simone. Do not give him a sentence he can pull out later. I slid the evaluation back across the table. He already wrote the sentence he wants. Douglas chose a small briefing room near Task Force headquarters. A digital clock glowed red above the door. A clock clicked above us, measuring every second Douglas thought he owned. He stood when Rebecca and I entered, then remained standing until we sat. Major Reed, Douglas said. Colonel, I replied. Rebecca opened her notebook. Douglas placed both hands on the table. This situation can still be resolved internally, he said. What does resolved mean? I asked. You withdraw the complaint. The command reviews the evaluation after a period of demonstrated professional judgment. Rebecca's pen stopped. So the evaluation is connected to the complaint, she said. Douglas looked at her. That is not what I said. You offered to reconsider it if she withdraws. I offered a path forward. For whom? I asked. His gaze returned to me. For you. Douglas lowered his voice. You are turning a difference in attribution into a career-ending dispute. Caroline signed a statement claiming my commands. She signed an official packet prepared by staff. She knew it was false. You do not know what she believed. I asked her where she established the casualty collection point. She gave the wrong location. That proves confusion after a traumatic event. She admitted she panicked and left the command point. Douglas's fingers pressed harder against the table. Rebecca looked up. Did Captain Mercer report that during her debrief? This meeting is not about Caroline, Douglas said. It is about the report you approved, I replied. His jaw moved once. Withdraw the complaint, he said, and I will personally ensure your promotion file is reviewed fairly. You control the evaluation that threatens it. I am giving you a chance to protect what you have built. No, you are asking me to protect what you altered. You have no idea how quickly a career can close, Douglas said. Rebecca's voice sharpened. Colonel, is that a threat? It is reality. I leaned forward. Did you ever see me as your daughter? Douglas looked at me as if the question offended him. I treated you like one. Treated. Past tense. Temporary. I sat back. Then we are finished. Douglas called after me when I stood. Simone, if you force this outside the family, you will not control what happens next. I turned at the door. You moved it outside the family when you signed version 4. The invitation for the family dinner arrived that evening. My mother did not call it a celebration. She called it a chance to talk before things became permanent. I almost refused. Then Rebecca called. We still need an independent witness from the mission, she said. Someone outside Mercer's reporting chain. Lena Ortiz. Contact her through official channels. Chief Warrant Officer Lena Ortiz met us the next morning inside a flight operations building that smelled of hydraulic fluid, rubber, and burnt coffee. Rotors thudded somewhere beyond the hangar wall, steady enough to vibrate through the soles of my boots. Lena carried a thin folder under one arm. I have my flight report, she said. Rebecca accepted it. Tell us what you remember, the attorney said. Lena looked at me. Your voice. What about it? I asked. It came through after the second blast. Clear. Controlled. Did Caroline give you coordinates? No. Who did? You. Lena opened the folder. Her report contained the words, Major Reed assumed control after loss of command communications. Timestamped. Signed. Filed the same day. Was this attached to the award packet? Rebecca asked. No, Lena said. Nobody contacted me about an award. Would you provide a sworn statement? Lena did not hesitate. Yes. Caroline's dress uniform hung from the back of a dining chair. Evelyn stood near the stove stirring gravy. Douglas poured wine. Caroline sat at the table with swollen eyes and both hands hidden in her lap. This is not a normal family dinner, I said. No, Evelyn replied. It is the last chance to keep us together. Douglas set down the bottle. Your mother asked for peace. Peace built on what? Caroline looked up. You already have everything, she said. Rank, respect, a future. I have my name. You know what I mean. No, Caroline, I do not. Her chair scraped back. I made one mistake. You signed 4 pages. I panicked during the attack. And afterward? Tears filled her eyes. Dad said the report could protect me. Douglas's hand tightened around the wine glass. Caroline, he warned. She turned toward him. You said Simone would survive this. My mother stopped stirring. The spoon clicked against the pot. Douglas's voice dropped. That is enough. No, Evelyn said. It is not. She faced him. What did you tell her to say? Douglas looked at my mother with the same controlled patience he used on junior officers. I told her to follow the approved version. Evelyn's face changed. You said that before, she whispered. Douglas said nothing. When? I asked. My mother stared at him. 2 nights before the citation came, Evelyn said. I heard him in the study. He told Caroline to stick to the approved version. Mom, Caroline said. Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth. I thought he meant interview language. You knew enough to ask, I said. Her eyes filled. I did not want to know. There it was. the smallest sentence in the room, the heaviest. Douglas pushed away from the table. This has gone far enough. I turned to him. Did you say a black woman did not deserve to represent the victory? Color rose above his collar. Who told you that? He had answered without denying it. Before I could speak, my phone rang. Rebecca. I stepped into the hallway and answered. We have Pike's supplemental statement, she said. Another officer confirmed the language about a more suitable public face. Will that open the investigation? Yes. What about the combat log? The investigating authority can request it once the inquiry is formally opened. Can Douglas block it? He can object. Will he? He already has. I looked through the doorway. Douglas stood beside Caroline. Evelyn remained at the stove, one hand braced against the counter. What reason did he give? I asked. Operational sensitivity, irrelevant protected traffic, possible misinterpretation of fragmented communications. And he wants the voice record excluded. Yes. A pause followed. Simone Rebecca said, the higher command approved the administrative investigation. What happens to the ceremony? The official medal action is pending review. No final award authority until the inquiry is complete. I breathed once. Douglas? Removed from approval authority on this matter. And the combat log? Preserved. When I returned to the dining room, Douglas was waiting. You went around me, he said. I went above a conflict of interest. Caroline stood. Is the ceremony cancelled? The award is pending review, I said. Her face collapsed. Douglas pointed toward the door. Get out. Evelyn looked at him. This is my daughter. She brought investigators into this family. No, I said. You brought a false report into the army. I picked up my coat. Before leaving, I looked at Caroline's uniform hanging beside the table. The empty space above the ribbon rack waited for a medal built from my voice. My phone vibrated outside. Rebecca had sent one final message. The combat log is secured. A second line appeared beneath it. Someone previously requested removal of the critical voice segment from the review package. The requester was Colonel Douglas Mercer. The combat log opened in a secure review room with no windows and 3 locks on the door. A fan whirred. The table felt cold, and the air smelled of scorched coffee. Douglas sat beside his attorney. Carolyn occupied the chair to his right, shoulders rigid beneath her uniform. The investigator, Colonel Hayes, placed a sealed data drive beside the terminal. This package includes voice traffic, digital command chat, vehicle positions, flight data, and medical evacuation logs, Hayes said. No one will interrupt playback unless I stop it. Douglas adjusted one cuff. Some audio is fragmented, he said. Context matters. Hayes looked at him. That is why we have the other records. The first transmission filled the room with static. No one moved yet. Caroline's voice came through thin and sharp. Falcon route remains open. Continue movement. Marcus Bell answered from the command post. Mercer actual, possible secondary device ahead. Continue movement, Caroline repeated. A warning tone sounded. Someone called for a halt. Then the blast hit. The speakers cracked with metal, shouting, and feedback that made Caroline flinch. My hands tightened beneath the table. I had heard those sounds in sleep. Here, they became evidence. Mercer actual, respond, my recorded voice said. Static answered. Mercer actual, this is Reed, respond. Nothing. The command link had failed. Then my voice returned. Reed has command. All elements acknowledge. One call sign answered, then another, then all of them. Hayes paused the playback. Digital chat at this timestamp, he said. The screen showed Marcus's entry. Major Reed has command. Douglas whispered to his attorney. Hayes resumed. My recorded voice ordered the remaining vehicles to hold short of Falcon. I redirected the rear convoy through a service cut, moved armored trucks into a protective line, and sent the nearest medic team toward a sheltered collection point west of the ridge. The map showed her command vehicle moving backward, not toward the damaged convoy. Backward. Hayes enlarged the position trace. Captain Mercer, he said, why did your vehicle leave the command point? My communications equipment failed, Caroline replied. Did the vehicle lose power? No. Did it stop transmitting location? No. Did you announce a transfer of command? I could not reach the channel. Mercer actual, state your status, Marcus said through the speakers. No answer. A second attempt followed. Still, nothing. Then my voice directed aviation. Raven 2, this is Reed, marking a corridor north of the ridge. Hold fire beyond the orange panel. Chief Warrant Officer Lena Ortiz answered. Raven 2 copies Reed, corridor marked. Hayes displayed Lena's flight report. Major Reed assumed control following loss of command communications. Caroline's fingers closed around the table edge. Douglas spoke quietly. Simone was relaying instructions developed before the communications failure. Hayes stopped the recording. Colonel Mercer, were you on the command channel when these instructions were issued? No. Then how do you know their source? Douglas's mouth tightened. They were consistent with the task force plan. The plan directed continued movement through Falcon, Hayes said. Major Reed ordered the opposite. The playback continued. My voice assigned vehicles by call sign. The medical unit acknowledged my route. Marcus confirmed the second convoy had cleared the danger area. Lena reported hostile movement near the disabled trucks. Then came the part I had tried not to remember. Reed, this is Raven 2. We have one command vehicle separated near the wash. I had asked for identification. Lena answered with Caroline's vehicle number. My recorded voice gave the order. Recovery 1, turn back. Bring Mercer's vehicle out under armored cover. Hayes paused the audio. Colonel Mercer, the command post record shows you recommended withdrawal at this point. Douglas straightened. I recommended protecting the force. And Major Reed ordered recovery of your daughter's vehicle. I did not know Caroline was inside. Hayes touched the screen. The roster had identified her. Douglas said nothing. Caroline turned toward him. You knew? She asked. This is not the time, Douglas replied. You knew I was there and wanted them to leave? I wanted to prevent further casualties. Douglas had claimed he changed the report to protect Caroline. The log showed something colder. When danger was real, he had been ready to leave her behind. Only afterward had she become useful as the face of victory. Hayes resumed the playback. The next minutes carried every command in Caroline's medal citation. My commands. The convoy reroute, the medical corridor, the air cover, the recovery of disabled vehicles. Each was followed by an acknowledgement. At the end, Marcus said, all elements clear. Reed retains command until transfer. The speakers fell silent. Caroline rubbed both hands over her knees. My radio was damaged, she said. I thought Simone was only holding the channel until I returned. Hayes opened the digital chat. No request from Caroline appeared. No attempt to resume command. Only one entry from her terminal after the convoy reached safety. Status restored. Why did you sign a certification stating you maintained command throughout the mission? Caroline glanced at Douglas. He told me the responsibility remained mine. Douglas turned toward her. You told me you never surrendered command. I told you I panicked. You said your equipment failed. It did. You said you continued directing movement through alternate communications. I never said that. Douglas's attorney placed a hand on his sleeve. Too late. Rebecca slid a document toward Hayes. This is the award certification, she said. Captain Mercer signed it 3 days after the citation was completed. Hayes read aloud. I personally directed the rerouting of surviving vehicles and coordinated aerial protection. Caroline looked down. That language came from Dad's staff. But the signature is yours, Hayes said. Yes. Did you read it? Yes. Hayes opened the preserved email history. We need a clean command narrative. Reed should remain support. The next message was worse. Prepare public affairs language around Captain Mercer. Do not wait for Reed's debrief. Timestamped while I was still in medical processing. Another entry showed his office contacting ceremony staff before the data was reviewed. Caroline turned toward him. You planned the ceremony that day? The task force needed a clear account, Douglas said. You had not even spoken to me. You were unavailable. I was in medical. Exactly. Caroline finally seemed to understand. Douglas had selected her before hearing her account. Hayes displayed their message exchange. What happens if Simone challenges it? She will not throw away her promotion. Then move the ceremony up. Hayes turned to me. Major Reed, did anyone instruct you to remain silent? Colonel Mercer told me withdrawing the complaint could lead to reconsideration of an adverse evaluation. Rebecca submitted the evaluation, dated 2 days after my preservation request. Douglas spoke before being asked. That evaluation addressed professional judgment. Did Major Reed have similar concerns documented before her complaint? Hayes asked. No formal concerns. Did you offer to review the evaluation if she withdrew? I offered a path toward resolution. Hayes opened the final section. This file contains an exclusion request. Douglas's name appeared at the bottom. Remove voice segment beginning at loss of Mercer communications. Fragmented traffic may misrepresent command authority. You attempted to exclude the only segment establishing the transfer of command, Hayes said. I wanted to prevent raw traffic from being misunderstood. It was not misunderstood. An aide entered and handed Hayes a folder. The higher command has scheduled a formal review board, Hayes said. The award remains suspended. Colonel Mercer will continue to have no authority over related records or evaluations. What happens to the ceremony? No medal will be approved before the board, Hayes replied. Douglas stood. You have made your point, Douglas said to me. I looked at the blank monitor. No, I said. The log did. Outside, my mother waited on a bench. Evelyn stood when she saw us. Caroline reached her first. Mom, she said. Evelyn looked past her at Douglas. You said Simone was trying to take something from Caroline. This is more complicated than what you heard, Douglas replied. I heard Simone send people back for her. Evelyn, you wanted them to withdraw. It was a tactical judgment. And then you put Caroline's name on the rescue. Douglas lowered his voice. I protected this family. Evelyn turned toward me. You went back for her, Evelyn said. Yes. After everything? There was no everything then. There was a soldier in a disabled vehicle. Evelyn faced Douglas again. You erased the daughter who saved her. Not here, he said. My mother shook her head. You always decide where the truth is allowed to exist. Rebecca came through the secure door with the board notice, dated 4 days away. Her phone buzzed. She read the message, then turned the screen toward me. The board had ordered full playback of the combat log. No exclusions, no edited summary. Every voice, every timestamp, every command. Caroline saw the notice and touched the temporary presentation ribbon on her chest. For the first time, she looked afraid of the thing she had wanted most. Caroline wore the ribbon anyway. The narrow strip of color sat above her left breast pocket when she entered the review room, bright against the dark fabric of her dress uniform. It was not the medal itself, and no final approval had been issued, but everyone in the room understood what she meant by wearing it. She wanted the photograph before anyone could take the story away. General Warren looked at her chest, then at the suspended award packet on the table. Captain Mercer, he said. Who authorized that ribbon? Caroline's fingers brushed the edge. It was prepared for the recognition ceremony, sir. That was not my question. No one moved. Douglas sat 2 places away from her, his face still, his shoulders squared beneath his uniform. He had worn every decoration he had earned over 35 years, a wall of polished metal arranged above his heart. My mother sat behind him in the visitor row. Evelyn kept both hands folded around her purse. General Warren looked toward the board members. We will address the uniform matter after reviewing the record, he said. The room smelled of wool, paper, and coffee that had sat too long on a warming plate. Chairs creaked whenever someone shifted. A ventilation fan pushed cool air across the back of my neck. Rebecca sat beside me with a legal pad open. Do not watch, Douglas, she whispered. Watch the evidence. Colonel Hayes began with my original statement. The first page appeared on the monitor. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command after loss of contact with Mercer Actual. The timestamp showed I had submitted it less than 4 hours after the convoy reached safety, before the award packet existed, before Caroline's name appeared in any citation, before I knew my own name would be removed. General Warren turned toward me. Major Reed, did anyone assist you in drafting this statement? No, sir, I said. Did you revise the command attribution after learning Captain Mercer had been recommended for an award? No, sir. Was this account challenged when submitted? No, sir. Hayes displayed Caroline's first written account. It was shorter. The document described damaged communications, confusion after the explosion, and movement to a secondary vehicle. It did not claim she had ordered the reroute, called aviation, or established the casualty point. Those details appeared later. In the award certification, General Warren looked at Caroline. Captain Mercer, why does your initial account omit every action later credited to you? Caroline swallowed. My first statement was completed under stress, sir. So was Major Reed's. Yes, sir. Did you remember these actions later? I discussed the mission with my father and staff. Douglas leaned toward his microphone. General, the staff reconstructed command responsibility from the full operational picture. Warren turned to him. You will have an opportunity to answer, Colonel Mercer. Douglas sat back. Hayes displayed the version history. Version 1. My name. Version 2. My name. Version 3. Still my name. Then version 4 appeared. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command had been replaced by Captain Caroline Mercer, maintained command continuity. Pike took the witness chair. His collar looked too tight. A bead of sweat gathered near his temple, though the room remained cold. Captain Pike, Hayes said, did you make the change shown in version 4? Yes, sir. Why? Colonel Mercer directed the staff to produce a cleaner account. What did clean mean? Pike stared at the monitor. One clear command narrative. Whose narrative? Captain Mercer's. Douglas's attorney wrote something on a yellow pad. Hayes opened the email. We need a clean command narrative. Reed should remain support. Do not attach raw radio traffic to the award packet. The sender line carried Douglas's name. General Warren read the message without speaking. Then he looked toward Douglas. Colonel Mercer, why did you direct staff to keep Major Reed in a support role? Because Captain Mercer remained the assigned commander. Assigned at the beginning does not mean commanding at the end. The distinction was not clear in the immediate aftermath. Pike shifted in his chair. General Warren noticed. Captain Pike, do you agree? No, sir. Douglas turned toward him. Pike's voice weakened, then steadied. The operational logs were clear that Major Reed had assumed command. When did Colonel Mercer ask you to change the report? Before Major Reed completed her first debrief. A murmur moved through the visitors behind us. Warren raised one hand and the room settled. So the colonel selected the command narrative before hearing the commander who brought the mission to completion. Pike lowered his eyes. Yes, sir. Next came Caroline's certification. Her signature filled the bottom of the screen. I personally directed the rerouting of surviving vehicles, coordinated aerial protection, and established the medical evacuation corridor. General Warren looked at her. Is that your signature? Yes, sir. Did you read the statement before signing? Caroline glanced toward Douglas. Yes, sir. Did you issue those commands? Her lips parted. Douglas leaned toward his attorney, but the board president lifted a hand. Captain Mercer will answer for herself. Caroline gripped the arms of her chair. I remained responsible for the mission, sir. That was not the question. No, sir. The answer barely reached the microphone. Warren waited. No, you did not issue them? No, sir. I did not issue those exact commands. Yet you certified that you did. My father told me the responsibility remained mine. Every eye moved toward Douglas. His face did not change. She described herself as retaining command, he said. Caroline turned toward him. I told you I panicked. You told me your communications failed. I told you both. Douglas's voice sharpened. You never told me you abandoned command. Caroline's chair scraped against the floor. I moved because the windshield was broken and there was blood everywhere. You said you continued directing the convoy. No, you said that. Douglas's attorney touched his sleeve. Again, too late. Hayes displayed the preserved text messages. What happens if Simone challenges it? She will not throw away her promotion, then move the ceremony up. General Warren looked at Caroline. Why did you request an earlier ceremony? I wanted the uncertainty over. You wanted the award presented before Major Reed could object. Caroline's eyes filled. My father said the report was approved. Reports can be corrected. Public humiliation is harder to undo. Was that the purpose? She did not answer. Hayes played the media preparation recording. A public affairs officer asked Caroline which medical call sign she had directed. Silence followed. Then Douglas's recorded voice said, use the version in the citation. Another question. Another wrong answer. Again, Douglas coached her back to the approved language. Caroline pressed her lips together. Douglas stared at the table. Hayes moved to the combat log. The lights dimmed. Static filled the speakers. Caroline's voice ordered continued movement through Falcon. Marcus warned of a secondary device. Caroline repeated the order. The blast struck. Metal shrieked through the room. Someone in the visitor row gasped. Then came the unanswered calls. Mercer Actual, respond. Nothing. Mercer Actual, this is Reed. Respond. Silence. My own recorded voice came next. Reed has command. All elements acknowledge. One call sign answered. Then another. Then all of them. The screen displayed vehicle locations while my voice redirected the convoy. Digital chat appeared beside the map. Major Reed has command. Raven 2 copies Reed. Medical team, following Reed's route. The board watched the lines move away from Falcon. No one needed me to explain. My voice ordered armored vehicles into position, called for air cover, established the medical collection point, sent drivers through the alternate route. Every sentence Caroline had signed as her own came through the speakers in my voice. Then Lena reported Caroline's command vehicle stranded near the wash. Douglas's recorded voice recommended force withdrawal. My voice answered, Recovery 1, turn back. Bring Mercer's vehicle out under armored cover. The map showed the recovery team reversing direction. General Warren paused the playback. Colonel Mercer, did you recommend leaving the disabled command vehicle behind? I recommended avoiding additional casualties. Did you know your daughter was inside? Douglas hesitated. The roster suggested she might be. Caroline looked at him. You knew. Douglas did not turn toward her. I made the decision expected of a task force commander. And Major Reed made the decision that brought your daughter home, Warren said. The general restarted the log. My recorded voice continued until the last convoy element cleared the area. All elements clear, Marcus said through the speakers. Reed retains command until transfer. The playback ended. The silence afterward felt heavier than the explosions. General Warren looked at the award citation, then at Caroline's ribbon. Who is wearing her medal? Caroline's hand moved to her chest. No one answered for her. Douglas pushed back his chair. General, the award represented the mission, not any single transmission. Sit down, Colonel. Douglas remained standing. Warren's voice hardened. You are the subject of this review. Sit down. For the first time in my life, I saw Douglas obey without making obedience look like his idea. Caroline removed the ribbon. Her fingers shook as she placed it on the table. I was told it belonged to the mission, she said. I looked at the colored strip between us. You read the report, I said. You knew whose mission it was. Hayes opened Pike's supplemental statement. The room had one more truth to hear. Pike described the closed staff meeting. Douglas had rejected my name as the public representative of the victory. When a staff officer suggested using the actual command transition, Douglas had answered with the sentence he believed would never leave the room. A black woman does not deserve to represent this victory. Evelyn made a broken sound behind him. Douglas's attorney rose. The statement lacks context. General Warren turned toward Pike. Was anyone else present? Yes, sir. The second officer's sworn confirmation appeared on the monitor. Douglas had also called Caroline the more suitable public face. Warren looked directly at him. What context makes either statement acceptable? Douglas did not answer. The board recessed for 40 minutes. When the members returned, every chair was occupied. General Warren read the interim findings. Caroline's award packet was canceled pending a complete correction of the mission record. Her promotion, consideration, and command assignment were suspended. A separate inquiry would examine her false certification. My name would be restored to the command summary, while an independent award review considered the mission from the original data. The adverse evaluation Douglas had written would be removed from my active promotion file pending investigation. Douglas was suspended from command. All related emails, devices, evaluations, and personnel actions were ordered preserved. Allegations of report manipulation, retaliation, conflict of interest, and false official statements were referred for further action. When Warren finished, Caroline remained seated. Douglas stared forward. Evelyn stood in the back row, but she did not go to either of them. As the room cleared, Douglas caught my arm near the door. You have destroyed this family, he said. I removed his hand from my sleeve. No, I replied. I stopped you from putting its name on my voice. Douglas's suspension became permanent 3 months later. The investigation found that he had ordered the report rewritten, concealed the combat log, pressured witnesses, and used my evaluation as leverage after I challenged him. His retirement rank went under review. The leadership program that carried the Mercer name removed it from every brochure, plaque, and scholarship page. He requested one final meeting. Rebecca advised me not to go alone, so she waited outside the conference room while Douglas sat across from me in civilian clothes. Without the uniform, he looked smaller, though the habit of command remained in the way he arranged the chair before sitting. I did what I thought was necessary, Douglas said. For Caroline? For the family. You were willing to leave her vehicle behind. His mouth tightened. That was a battlefield judgment. And changing the report? A legacy judgment. The honesty arrived too late to help him. Douglas folded his hands. Caroline was not ready to carry what happened. So you made me carry her failure. You were stronger. That was never permission. He looked toward the closed door. I gave you opportunities. You gave me access as long as I stayed behind your daughter. That is not fair. Neither was version 4. Silence filled the room. Then Douglas said, I was protecting her. No, I replied. You taught her that truth was something weaker people had to carry. He flinched, though only once. When the meeting ended, he stood as if expecting me to salute. I did not. Caroline's case ended differently. Her false certification remained in the record. The award packet was canceled, her command assignment disappeared, and her promotion consideration stopped. She received an adverse evaluation that no one could blame on me. Douglas tried to save himself by claiming Caroline had misled him about retaining command. She learned about that statement from her attorney. A week later, Caroline asked to meet at the same kitchen table where I first found the citation. The cake plate was gone. So were the invitations. She looked older without the ceremony waiting for her. "Dad says I told him I stayed in command," Caroline said. "Did you?" "No." "Then correct the record." "I already did." Her voice cracked. "He is making it sound like I planned everything. You asked him to move the ceremony up. I was scared." "You were also informed." Caroline rubbed one thumb over the other. "Will you tell the board he pressured me?" "I will tell them what I witnessed. You know how he is. I know how you signed your name." She stared at the table. "He gave me the lie," Caroline whispered. "You signed under it." Tears gathered in her eyes, but I did not move to comfort her. For years I had stepped between Caroline and every hard consequence. This time, the chair stayed empty between us. My mother came 3 days later carrying a photo album. Evelyn placed it on my coffee table and opened to a picture from my commissioning. Douglas stood on one side of me, she stood on the other. "We were proud of you," she said. "You were proud when it was safe." "That is not true. You asked me to stay silent after you knew the report was wrong. I was trying to keep the family together. You were trying to keep the picture." Her hand rested on the plastic page. "Can we have dinner?" Evelyn asked. "Just you and me. Maybe Caroline later." "No." She looked up. "Never?" "Not while dinner means pretending." Evelyn closed the album. "What do you need from me?" "The truth without conditions." "I can do that." "Then start with Douglas." Her eyes filled. "I should have asked more questions." "Yes." "I should have believed you." "Yes." She nodded slowly. No forgiveness scene followed. No embrace fixed 30 years. But for once, my mother left without asking me to make her feel better. The corrected mission report arrived in a secure envelope. My name appeared in the executive summary. Major Simone Reed assumed tactical command and directed convoy recovery, aerial coordination, and medical evacuation following loss of command communications. Marcus's statement was attached. Lena's flight report followed. Medical logs, digital chat, and vehicle data filled the remaining pages. The false evaluation disappeared from my active file. A new award recommendation went forward under independent review. Months later, I stood in a smaller ceremony than the one Douglas had planned for Caroline. No family banner, no Mercer photographs. Just the soldiers, pilots, medics, and operators whose voices had answered mine. When the citation was read, it named the units that held the line and the crews that returned for the wounded. My medal rested against my uniform. It felt heavier than I expected. Afterward, General Warren asked whether the combat log could be used for training once protected details were removed. "Yes, sir," I said. "But use the whole sequence. Not only your commands? Especially not only mine." The first training session took place in a dark classroom. Young officers watched the map while the old radio traffic filled the speakers. Caroline's order, the blast, the silence. Then my voice. "Reed has command. All elements acknowledge." One call sign answered. Then another. Then every voice that came home. The Army did not return months my family had spent calling me jealous, difficult, and disloyal. It could not restore the dinners where my mother watched me swallow the truth so Caroline could keep smiling. What it could do was correct the record, preserve the evidence, and make the next commander think twice before choosing a convenient face over an honest report. That mattered. Not because paper could heal everything, but because the next black woman speaking into a damaged radio would not have to wonder whether her voice could be erased after shooting stopped. Douglas had erased my name because he thought history belonged to whoever signed the final report. He was wrong. History belonged to every voice that answered back.